Hello, friend. Today we'll take a look on what happens before you die, what happens when you die, and what religions have to say about it, including reincarnation. Yep, this is one deathly interesting episode. From the moment we are born, we begin to die. If there's one thing we are sure of in our lives, then it's that one day we'll die for sure. Unless we become immortal cyborgs or some eternal life antidote would be discovered or some other way. But at least for now, we don't really know any method to keep us alive forever. So, death. There are literally thousands of ways to die. A car crash, a disease, decapitation, falling down the stairs, being eaten, drowning, poison, age, and so on. To be honest, it's a topic for another pleasant video. What happens before you die? Let's take a closer look at some signs that a person is going to die. These signs might appear weeks or months before real death. Sometimes this process really takes a long time. Often the earliest signs that the dying process is beginning are breathlessness, severe appetite, weight loss, fluid retention, fatigue, drowsiness, delirium, jaundice and nausea, and an overall drop in physical function due to energy drop. Metabolic processes are slowed. It becomes harder to do simple things like talking or getting from chair to chair. Sometimes people experience hallucinations, and often they help a person die more peacefully, so it's best not to correct them. Visions, especially of long-gone loved ones, can be comforting. To predict the exact moment when a person will die is almost impossible, and all depends on various factors like medicine quality, or if the person decides to take them or not. Up to what are the current health conditions, and what type of life did the person conduct. Everyone's unique, even in dying. How will you know that death has occurred? Although you may be prepared for the death process, you may not be prepared for the actual death moment. But when you witness these next signs, you can be sure death has occurred. Person stops breathing. Heart stops beating. You can't wake them up. The mouth may fall slightly open. Eyes may be open, but the pupils will be larger and fixed on one spot. No control over bladder and bowel. At this point, usually the doctor comes and states the death. Yep, that's not a nice scene. But we're thinking about death here, so strap yourselves in and walk through this thing with us. It's worth the time. After death has occurred, human decomposition starts to take place, and it's divided into 5 stages. It's actually a quite disgusting process, so if you're eating right now, sorry. Stage 1. Fresh. At this stage, the remains are usually intact and free of insects. The corpse progresses through algor mortis, a reduction in body temperature until ambient temperature is reached. Then rigor mortis, the temporary stiffening of the limbs due to chemical changes in the muscles. And livor mortis, pooling of the blood on the side of the body that is closer to the ground. So the body becomes cold and stiff. Let's see what goes next. Stage 2. Bloat. At this stage, the microorganisms residing in the human gut begin to digest the tissues of the body, excreting gases that cause the torso and limbs to bloat, and producing foul-smelling chemicals, including putrescine and cadaverine. Cells and tissues break down and release hydrolytic enzymes, and the top layer of skin may become loosened, leading to skin slippage. Decomposition of the gastrointestinal tract results in a dark, foul-smelling liquid called purge fluid that is forced out of the nose and mouth due to gas pressure in the intestine. The bloat stage is characterized by a shift in the bacterial population from aerobic to anaerobic bacterial species. Basically, your body is getting populated with bacteria that don't need oxygen to live and grow. By the way, the fluid that comes out of the body can kill all the grass around it at first, but then the soil becomes a lot better to grow even more plants and trees. Stage 3. Active decay. At this stage, the tissues begin to liquefy and the skin will start to blacken. And blowflies will start to target decomposing corpses early on, using specialized smell receptors, and lay their eggs in orifices and open wounds. At this stage, the size and development stage of maggots can be used to give a measure of the minimum time since death. Later insect activity occurs in a series of waves, and identifying the insects present can give additional information on the post-mortem interval. Then corpse wax may be formed, inhibiting further decomposition. This is the worst-looking part, so don't imagine it much. Stage 4. Advanced decay. During advanced decay, most of the remains have discolored and often blackened. Putrefaction, in which tissues and cells break down and liquidize as the body decays, will be almost complete. A decomposing human body in the earth will eventually release 32 grams of nitrogen, 10 grams of phosphorus, 4 grams of potassium, and 1 gram of magnesium for every kilogram of dry body mass, making changes in the chemistry of the soil around it, and that may persist for years. Stage 5. Dry skeletonized remains. Once bloating has ceased, the soft tissue of remains typically collapses in on itself. At the end of active decay, the remains are often dried out and begin to skeletonize. A sad, smelly, long, and disgusting process that is part of every life cycle. Let's see what religions have to say about death. Christians and Muslims generally believe that when they die, God judges them and their souls go to a place of reward or punishment. Christians call this heaven and hell. Catholic Christians believe in purgatory, which is a place for people who are not evil enough for eternal punishment in hell, but not good enough for heaven. In purgatory, they are purified to be accepted into heaven. Muslims call the place of reward in the afterlife Jannah. Jahannam is the word they give to the place of punishment. Jannah is described as a paradise full of joy and pleasure in the Quran, whereas Jahannam is written about as a place of unending punishment. Many Jewish people also believe in an afterlife, and that when a person dies, God judges them on how they lived. Most Jewish people believe that they should focus on their present life and not spend too much time thinking about what happens after death. People who don't believe in God or other types of higher beings may conclude that death really is the end. Ideas about divine justice and not really having to die at all may be a solace to religious people. But for most atheists, people who believe there is no God or gods, and some agnostics, people who believe we cannot know whether God or gods exist, there isn't enough evidence for believing in a life after death. For many atheists and for some agnostics, death is the end. But it's not necessarily something to feel frightened or worried about. It means freedom to live without fear of punishment in the next life. And this sometimes motivates people to make the most of their time on earth. Reincarnation. The word reincarnation derives from a Latin term that literally means entering the flesh again. Many religions, whether they believe in the soul's existence in another world like Christianity, Islam, and many pagan belief systems, or reincarnation like many forms of Hinduism and Buddhism, believe that one's status in the afterlife is a reward or punishment for their conduct during life. Reincarnation refers to the belief that an aspect of every human being, or all living beings in some cultures, continues to exist after death. This aspect may be the soul or mind or consciousness, or something transcendent which is reborn in an interconnected cycle of existence. The transmigration belief varies by culture and is envisioned to be in the form of a newly born human being or animal, or plant or spirit, or as a being in some other non-human realm of existence. People also dream or envision a type of reincarnation that involves transporting their mind and or consciousness into a cloud or an android-type body to live forever. Altered carbon series are built on that idea, and that is a whole new topic to discuss. You can hope and expect to be the first generation to find the elixir of eternal life, or a way to prolong it to the point that it could get boring. But the main idea is that life is short, no matter how many years you spend. And we humans tend to be self-oriented, so it will always be not enough time, wealth, health, or any other measurable thing. So the main idea of this video is that you need to cherish every moment, live happily, look on the bright side of every situation and challenge that life offers. Expose your mind to new ideas and things. Tell us about what you think of death in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. You can also hit the bell icon to be informed about when our new video comes out. Thanks for watching. See ya on the next one, friend.